The Economic Survey 2025-26 has assessed India's space sector amid a flat budget trajectory and growing expectation from the private industry. India's space sector evolution and policy shift. India's space program has undergone a significant transition over the past decade, moving from a state-dominated model to a more open and commercially oriented ecosystem. Landmark achievements such as successful lunar mission and a high launch success rate position India as a reliable space-faring nation. A major policy shift occurred in 2020 when reforms opened the space sector to private participation. The creation of InSpace as a regulatory and facilitative body and the encouragement of private launch vehicle and satellite startups marked the beginning of India's new space phase. However, this transition has coincided with operational and fiscal challenges within the Department of Space. Budgetary trends in the space sector. The Economic Survey 2025-26 point out that the Department of Space has experienced near stagnant budget growth over the last 4 years. When adjusted for inflation, the overall allocation has effectively declined. Capital expenditure crucial for new launch infrastructure, spacecraft development and R&D has fallen steadily. In contrast, revenue expenditure such as salaries and routine operational cost has increased. This shift has resulted in a growing share of budget being consumed by maintenance rather than innovation, raising concerns about long-term technological competitiveness. Additionally, the department has repeatedly failed to fully utilize its allocated funds, leading to downward revision during the revised estimate stage. This weak absorption capacity has further constrained the case for a substantial budgetary increase, export performance and structural concerns. Despite budgetary stress, the survey highlights a strong export performance. Between 2015 and 2024, India launched nearly 400 foreign satellites for over 30 countries, generating substantial commercial revenue. However, the survey cautions that export earnings may be masking deeper structural issues. Recent launch failures and near misses have exposed vulnerability in manufacturing quality and supply chains. The push for higher launch cadence driven by commercial demand has placed additional strain on an ecosystem still adapting from a protected state monopoly to a competitive market environment. Role of NSIL in the emerging model. New Space India Limited, ISRO's commercial arm, has emerged as a key pillar in the government's evolving strategy. According to survey, NSIL's revenues increased sharply within a few years, signaling the government's intent to rely more on commercial income rather than tax-funded capital investment. The implicit policy shift is towards commerce-led growth, where NSIL monetizes launch services, satellite missions, and downstream applications. However, this raises questions about whether commercial revenue can adequately substitute for sustained public investment in core research and development and critical infrastructure. Industry expectation and policy demands. Industry associations have expressed dissatisfaction with current funding levels. They argue that India's space budget remains a very small fraction of GDP compared to leading space power. Proposals include scaling allocation, expanding launch infrastructure, and introducing target production linked incentives for space components. Private players have also advocated for a procurement-driven model where the government acts as an anchor customer by purchasing services and data from domestic companies rather than owning all assets. This approach mirrors international practices and could provide a predictable demand, encouraging private investment. Challenges highlighted by the economic survey. The survey underlines a widening gap between what the industry seeks and what the Department of Space can realistically deliver. While private firms demand rapid expansion and assured procurement, the department faces constraints related to quality control, spending efficiency, and operational reliability. The survey also notes that different space programs such as human spaceflight, satellite launches, and strategic missions compete for limited resources, complicating prioritization and long-term planning. Way forward, the economic survey suggests a phased and balanced transition, strengthening quality assurance systems, fixing supply chain weakness, and improving fund utilization are essential. First stage, large infrastructure projects such as new spaceports must progress without repeated delays. Equally important is a clear roadmap identifying which missions will gradually shift from government-built assets to industry-provided services, enhancing institutional capacity to manage complex long-term service contracts. will be critical for building investor confidence.